Welcome to the podcast, which is all about the world of direct response. Are we on the air? I'm your host, Sean Wilson. For over 30 years, I've hosted shows on cable shopping networks, and now I want to be your guide into this world on the ever-changing nature of direct response. I hope you can hear me okay. Was that too loud? I don't know how that came through. Anyway, we are back, and this is going to kind of be our year-end recap of 2023 and what was going on in 2023 since the June show. A lot has happened, yet a lot hasn't happened. And without getting too repetitive, again, QVC not in the place I'm sure they would like to be. Their stock is indicative of that. As we record this, I haven't actually even checked today, and the market's just closed. As we record this, they have rebounded a little bit. They're up. They're getting closer to $1 a share. Again, if they stay under $1 a share too long, they do get delisted. And they're getting close to that mark. So they're at 90 cents a share as we record this. They actually had a nice bump today on their quarterly results, which came out in November for the quarter ending in September. Do I have that right? October, November, December? I think so. But anyway, and so we're going to go over that. And we're, more important, I think, for the moment, going to look at ShopHQ, because the biggest news that took place, well, we were on our little break here from the podcast, or the pod, as I heard. There's a podcast that I listen to every morning, and they just refer to it now as a pod. So I guess that's what the kids are saying, so that's where we are, just a pod at this point. Let me get up some information here, because for what has happened, everybody that doesn't know, ShopHQ had filed for bankruptcy protection, and we kind of left the story playing out. They were in court when we did our last show, and as so often happens in proceedings like this, last minute, a new guy comes in, and all of a sudden, the whole deal that was on the table with a media company based out of New York is gone completely and out of nowhere. And I really mean out of nowhere. The guy that owns 5 Hour Energy bought ShopHQ, so he now owns it. And I got to say, this really did take a lot of people by surprise. I was in contact with some people at ShopHQ, and they knew nothing after it was announced. Manoj Bhargava, by the way, is the gentleman's name, that he had bought all the assets and everything of ShopHQ. They were surprised as anyone. I had one person tell me that the day before everything was announced that some of his team was going through the building, and so this came out of left field, and so it seems everyone was surprised. Manoj Bhargava, he is a billionaire in the literal sense, owns 5 Hour Energy, and he actually has been on a bit of a media purchasing spree. Not only did he buy ShopHQ, he bought Sports Illustrated magazine, he bought some radio stations and some television stations. It turns out he also, under one of his, anytime you have an individual like this, again, it's not a publicly traded company, he is not, and so he will not have to disclose any numbers as far as sales or anything like this goes. But he also owns Newsnet, which is one of the fledgling news network operations. I have their app actually on my Apple TV, and it's actually worth checking out. I'm impressed with what they're doing, and I'm saying this as someone who's been watching it for a while, having no idea who owned it. But it's news. It's straightforward news, and which is kind of a nice change. And I've heard nothing but good things from a limited number of people who do either know him or know of him, both as a business person and as an individual. And so as I started doing some reading about this, because why would this guy want this? And he did an interview with TheStreet.com, which was very, very telling. And you can look for it online, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. But he says a few things in this interview. Why would he want this media? Because if you think about it, magazines are a dying thing too, kind of like TV shopping. When's the last time you subscribed to a magazine? A lot of them will pretty much give them away now. It's not like well, like we did on the last show with the Playboy, what was it, $20-some a year. You can buy magazines fairly inexpensively, and a lot of magazines are folding. So, but he brings up some great points in this interview, and it leads to why I think that he would also want Shop HQ, because this is a man who understands that it's not completely about reaching the 18 to 34-year-olds. And we've discussed this on past podcasts or pods. So if you want to go back and look for those, we discussed the fact the TV shopping viewer is an older viewer. QVC goes into some detail on that in their earnings results, which we'll get into in a second. So we know for a fact that it's not an 18 to 34-year-old that is watching television shopping. And I'm going to read some of his quotes because, again, it's almost like he's picking my brain when he says some of these things and things we've talked about in the past shows. So I'm quoting him now. For example, everyone wants to aim at 18 to 34, right? Question mark. That's the age group. It's very fashionable to go after 18 to 34. From my point of view, I'm sorry. Did you think, make sure I'm reading this right, yes. Did you think 18 to 34 people have any money? Why would you advertise to people that have no money? Sure, so we're aiming at sort of 40 plus. Now, if you're selling toothpaste, it's across the board, whether it's young or old. I'm going to stop there for a second because he is really onto something here. I remember being 18 to 34, and I did not have money. So he is correct with that. The reason advertisers cater to that age group is in the advertising world, they know that they're far more flexible at that age as to what brands they will buy. They have not yet locked in brand loyalty. So you advertise to the 18 to 34-year-old because I'm advertising Mark's Ketchup, and 18 to 34s are not married to Heinz ketchup necessarily. So I can get them with a good advertising campaign to start buying Mark's ketchup, and all of a sudden now I have them for life. So that's the reason why you try and lock in an 18 to 34-year-old. However, he is 100% correct about the fact that the over 40, and in particular, I'd go one further and say even the over 50 market, that's where the money is. The problem is they just don't have the brand loyalty. When you watch or read the ratings for a network like Fox News, and I'm just going to pick on them. I'm not trying to be political or anything. It's just they are the #1 news network in prime time by a wide margin. They have literally millions of viewers watching in prime time. However, when you break that down, the moment you look at the amount of people who are watching who are under 55, it drops to about 10% of their total viewership. So it's a minuscule number. However, the viewers they have over 50 have money and will buy the products that they advertise. Now, if you ever watch their commercials, they do lean towards an older market and a lot of 800 number per inquiry advertising things. But that's neither here nor there. So he is onto something there, that yes, there is a viewer, there is a customer, magazine customer, TV shopping customer that should be catered to. And so he's right in that. And QVC will be the first to tell you that their demographic leans 50 plus. And I'm going to segue out of Shop HQ in a moment into that, so just hold that thought for a second. And he also goes on to point out some things that are more advertising related, so I'm not going to get into those as much, but about how they can eliminate the middleman, deal directly with the advertiser. And again, go back and find my show about radio and the soap operas, because he uses the same analogy, how originally the TV and the radio networks produce programs directly from the advertisers. So, and I'm not going to rehash the whole show. It's one of my first podcasts that I did in season 1 about advertising and marketing, and to sell soap, they created the soap operas. So he's spot on with this as well. In fact, I'm reading a book, one of the books, I'm always reading a lot of books I'm reading right now, is about the early days of radio, and it's going a lot more into the finance end of things and how NBC and CBS, they had two different philosophies. One was have the advertisers create the shows for us. The other network's philosophy was you create the show and find the advertiser. He's going back to that business model saying, let's deal directly with the advertisers. So there is some very good ideas this man has, and I hope it plays out for him. Early indications are that Shop HQ is doing okay now, and I hope that's true. They will not have to release any numbers, so we will never know officially. If I'm ever told something off the record, I will acknowledge that and keep it off the record and not announce anything here, but early indication I've had from some people behind the scenes, because they're working on price points and margins. Margins are going up, price points going down, and it is on the right path, and I hope that it works out for them. There's some great people there, so I really do hope that it works out for them. They might have the right man there for the job now, and I think getting an outsider in this case was a great move. Now, let's go back to QVC. And you know what I want to do first? Let's cleanse the palate. Let's really go back in time. Just for a second. I haven't played this in forever. Because we're about to talk about some very modern things. Isn't that catchy? Happiness is what? Oh, shopping with us. That was Home Shopping Club's incidental music, I guess, theme music, if you will. They had something a lot more big bandish to open the shows, but that's the simple age of 1986-87 TV shopping. It's a very different world today. And by the way, if anybody listening has that original theme music, I think I remember reading in one of the forums that the tapes have been lost. I would love to have the original, the high energy, a clean version of that high energy. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, so if anybody has that, get that to me. Because now we're looking at 2023. HSC is HSN, which is part of QVC, and which is part of Qurate. And if you read their investor information, you would have no idea they own HSN anymore. It's just everything is QVC, QVC, QVC. And I stand by what I've been saying for a year now. HSN is doing QVC better than QVC is doing QVC these days. Let's go back to the fact that their demographic is older. So, if you're catering to an older demographic, and you know that, you should be directing your programming correctly for it. And again, this is why I'm going to, and again, I am just politically, I'll just say this once, I'm very center of the road, leaning right. I'm fiscally a very conservative person. I am not a fan of Fox News. I'm not a fan of MSNBC. I'm not a fan of any of them, frankly, because I don't like being told what I'm supposed to be thinking, and that's all they do on these networks. But the only reason I'm picking on Fox News is just because they do a good job of catering to their demographic. They know their age of their viewers, and they cater their shows to that age bracket. QVC, if you watch their primetime shows, is doing a lot of things which, frankly, if you listen to the viewers, is turning them off. The hosts acting drunk, standing out there drinking wine, dressed in pajamas. It's like you've let the inhabitants run the asylum sometimes. HSN is still more of a structured, formal presentation, and I think it comes off a lot cleaner and a lot better, frankly, than did she mean to do her hair like that, or was that an accident? Was she just called into work last minute? Because that's sometimes the look that the hosts have on air. So, and the hosts are given, in fact, Steve Bryant posted about this on Facebook as we're recording this just a few days ago. The hosts, they're given a lot more freedom with their shows to just kind of make it a party, and it's well, is it impacting their sales? Let's just say this. Their overall sales are down. Now, they had a profitable quarter. They had a profitable quarter because they have focused more on beauty products, and they're higher margin. So the sales can go down, you can make more money. Margins have gone up, meaning what they take to the bank, because they're operating more efficiently. Obviously, they've had layoffs and all of those things. So because they're operating leaner, they've had a decline in sales. Not just a decline in sales, but a decline in new customers and repeat customers. And this is where the concern should be, because without new people coming in the door, then how do you replace those customers once they are, to be blunt, no longer with us? And that's where one of their problems lies. So you have the customer base that is not returning because they're possibly being turned off by the shows. I don't know. And then you have the new customers that just aren't there, because that's the 18 to 34-year-olds who are on their phones. They're not watching QVC. Cord cutting is the other big problem for them, and they acknowledge that. So these are the small issues, which are large issues that can affect their bottom line down the road. They have debt payments coming up. They have cash on hand. How'd they get a lot of the cash on hand? Well, they got a big insurance check recently from that fire, and so they do have some cash to pay these debt obligations, which frankly could have bankrupted the company. Now, again, that would never mean the end of QVC, as we just saw with Shop HQ. So even if, and where's, oh, you know what? I forgot there's one more article I was going to read, and I forgot to get it queued up here, set up here. Recently, the Philadelphia newspaper did quite an extensive article about QVC, and it was not the most chipper, upscale article ever, and it did mention near the very end that bankruptcy could ultimately be a possibility for QVC, and I'm saying QVC, Qurate, their parent company, and hopefully it will never come to that. And, of course, I just had that article 2 days ago, and now I don't have it. But you can find that online, and they interviewed the CEO and a number of people involved there. And a lot of it goes back to what I've been saying, too. It's like, because they're renting all these facilities now, and because they've leased them or they're leasing them back. I've said 100 times, you can do it from a garage, so it's, scale back maybe some on the production, which segues into... yet another movie. Yeah, another movie that they've come out with, because Holly and the Hot Chocolate was such a hit. Rotten Tomatoes, not a single review. Zero. Zip. Nada. That the company decided, you know what, let's do another movie. And idea. Let's not just do a movie. Let's actually get someone with name recognition. Let's get Ashley Simpson to star in our movie. So they have come out with yet another movie, this time called The Recipe Files, and it's another holiday-themed movie, Christmas-themed movie. Now, before I go any further into this, and again, full disclosure, I have not watched it. I have not watched the Coco movie, and I will go to my grave having never watched either of these movies. I read every press release this company puts out. When their quarter ends, I listen to the phone calls, the investor interviews. These movies get zero acknowledgement by the head of Qurate, by the president, the CEO, the COO, from anyone that's in the investor calls. It's like they don't exist. The only mention these movies get are from the woman who is in charge of this area of Qurate. Yes, and you might remember, again, past show, I mentioned that they had just hired someone who had been at Amazon Prime, their streaming service, and so why on earth would Qurate hire someone from Amazon Prime? Well, we're starting to put those pieces of the puzzle together. Because now they're putting movies out on their app, and that's how you have to watch them if you don't know. They're not on Hallmark Channel. Like a normal company might do. Maybe I would make a movie and I would tie it in with Hallmark Channel somehow, get Hallmark to run it, sell some Hallmark products on my network, and then get the Hallmark viewers to watch my network. No, I'm just going to make a movie and put it out on my app. Imagine if the Macy's Parade or the Macy's Fireworks was just for those that were in the store. You had to be in the store on this day, or maybe a credit card holder, so you knew about it, and we had this private thing. We didn't let the rest of the world know about it. We're going to have the Macy's Fireworks just for our credit card holders, and you'll get a special invite, and don't tell anyone else about it, because there's other fireworks on the 4th. Let the people go watch those. You're going to watch our fireworks as our special guest. That's kind of the way this is playing out. So, but she did get some publicity. She being, and I hope I'm saying this right, Sumaya Siraman. She's the president of streaming for QVC and HSN parent company Qurate. And this is from a Variety article. So, okay, hey, got into the publication that people in the industry will read and already know that you're doing a movie. Let's see. And the author of the article is saying, the reporter, while QVC and HSN Plus are upping their holiday originals count this year, leadership says that does not mean the platforms are looking to mimic what you would see in a scripted seasonal original from Hallmark, Lifetime, or Netflix. And then just add in their retailtainment part. And that's in quotes, retailtainment. Quoting now Ms. Siraman. She says, and please listen to this. I'm going to read this clearly. I think that we are creating our own special brand of storytelling. What you will see from us at first will be more subtle, and you will start to see us make our mark on the way we are using creative and talent in storytelling to own it in our own way. Now, I'm going to try and interpret what I think she's saying. She's saying we use the movie for storytelling to connect with the customer, the viewer, to possibly buy something then from QVC, because the product is all about storytelling, and I agree with that part. But again, you're catering to the people who are already QVC customers by watching this. So you're not bringing in new eyes. I don't know of a single person that has downloaded the QVC Plus app just to stream content. There's enough consolidation right now with the streaming apps as it is. Hulu and Disney. CNN's becoming part of HBO, and HBO is now called Max Plus or whatever the hell it is. There's talk of a Apple Plus Paramount merger. So there's already consolidation within these apps. The last thing you want to do is start a streaming app. You'd be better off starting a cable shopping network, and you know how smart that would be. She continues. And again, I'm going to read this quote verbatim. It could be either or. Sometimes it's neither, and sometimes it's both. So I don't know that a one-size-all the way we think about this. But we do know that at the heart of retailing is a product, at the heart of entertaining is a concept, and we don't think the two are mutually exclusive. The right thing to do is find the happy medium. I have read this 20 times. I still don't understand what she's saying. It could be either or. Sometimes it's neither, and sometimes it's both. Okay? So I don't know that a one-size-fits-all the way we think about this. That sentence just makes no sense at all. So I don't know that a one-size-fits-all the way we think about this. But we do know that at the heart of retailing is a product, at the heart of entertaining is a concept. Okay, we can agree with that. A retailing product, entertaining concept. And we don't think the two are mutually exclusive. So that kind of goes back to the first thing, that you can sell a product through entertaining. And the right thing to do is find a happy medium. So we get Ashley Simpson to star in a movie which our viewers are already going to be knowing about. No one outside the company does. So we're just using a very expensive way. What's it cost to make a movie these days? I honestly do not know, and I can't find, believe me, I've done my research, I can't find anywhere where it says what they spent to make these movies. In the financial calls, when the CEO gets on the line and talks to investors, no one asks, what are you guys spending for these movies? Because I can't imagine Ashley Simpson is doing this for scale. So I have to wonder what, and I'm asking this as an investor. Again, I'm not trying to sit here and make it sound like I'm bad-mouthing Q-Rate. I'm sitting here as someone who has stock that's worth 90 cents that I bought at a lot more than that, and I'd like to get at least my money back someday, and I, at this point, don't think it's going to happen. So why would you run a business this way? So it's just, those are the questions that are circling in my brain here. But again, overall, problems that QVC is still facing, losing customers, and what they're putting out as far as programming goes, I don't think appeals to the customers in their demographic, and they're not getting new customers. Shop HQ, at least, I'm hoping that this new CEO, this new owner, has the idea that, hey, we know who we're marketing to, we know who we're catering to, we know what we're trying to do, so let's please this customer. So hopefully no more models with duct tape on their you-know-whats, and half-naked beach shots of individuals, and don't make it the Invicta network. You know, get a variety of things going on. And they've got the product. They have the inventory. They have the vendors. So they're 90% of the way there. It's just, how are you going to execute it now? And if they execute it correctly, I think they're in good shape. It's, I don't want to say ironic, but it is always interesting to me that the networks that cater to one thing and do it well seemingly are not having the issues that the big guys are. So there's something to be said about, as silly as sometimes the small networks get as far as the way they present things, because it's very old school. Old school works. And price games and add-in games, and we're going to talk about those in hopefully the next show, because I have all the audio ready to go. They work, and there's still a place for those. Now, again, the small networks that are privately owned, they don't need to disclose their numbers, but everything I hear is pretty good for them. So we'll cross our fingers and hope for the big guys to get going again. Listen, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget, I'd love your reviews too. Review, rate, those nice 5-star rating. When you subscribe, then you never miss a show. Plus, you can listen to the archive of past shows. I hope you'll check me out on X, Facebook, and YouTube under Sean Wilsey, and on Instagram at SWilsey. Thank you for downloading this edition of Are We on the Air? This has been a King Bobby production.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.